Welcome back to Shop Talk. Are you confused about wheel sizes for mountain bikes? I am.
I'm not. Tonight what we're going to do is we're going to try to make it a little bit easier if you're confused about whether you should keep your old 26-inch wheel bike, whether you should buy a 29er or a 27.5, which is what they call it, but it's not, it's a 650. And there's also multiple different tyre sizes. So there's 6 different choices. We're going to make sense of it tonight. A great place to start is just talk about fundamentally, first we have the old mountain bike wheel size, which is a 26 by 1.75. What that actually means is the 26 is the size, although it's not really a real measurement of 26, it's a little bit different to that. And then they have different tyre choices. So the first measurement is the diameter and the second measurement is the bag size, and that's all over. If you're confused about what size wheel you have, we should always identify what the rim size is, and that will be sort of between 550 and 630 millimeters. It'll be written on the side of your tyre. And the second measurement will be the bag size. If you need to know exactly what it is, it's that 3-digit number between 550 and 630. That's the first thing to understand.
Just to add to that, obviously 26, 27, 29, etc. refers to an empirical measurement in inches as opposed to those who are used to road wheel sizes, most commonly referred to in a metric measurement.
Okay.
What have you got there, Warren?
So this is the old, what we always know as a mountain bike size wheel, 26 by 2.1. It's what we've been riding since mountain bikes were started by Gary Fisher back in the 80s. And I'm very proud to say that I got one of the first 6 mountain bikes that ever came into the country. The rim diameter is 559, but we're going to call that a 26.
So 559 millimetres.
Yep, and it felt a little bit like a BMX. When you ride in, the tyre can get buried into a ditch or whatever. So we wanted a bigger wheel that you could roll over bumps easier, and they released the 29er. So there's the 29, and that's the difference we're talking about, just that.
Correct.
Right, so we're going from 559 to 622, but that's without the tyre, so that could have a bigger tyre. These have both got a very similar bag size. So
now the bag is the tyre.
The bag's the tyre, the round shape of the tyre. So that little amount in difference there in the wheel just makes the bike feel completely different. Okay, so I'm just going to put them away for a second. We're going to talk about why you would go
one versus the other.
Well, when a wheel hits a bump, if it hits it more direct, it's going to slow down. So a bigger wheel hits it on, it sort of rolls over it easier. So we went out on the road and put a 26 and a 29 together, let go the brakes, and the 29 and the 26 roll about the same speed. But off-road, when there's rocks and bits and pieces, the 29 just rolls away because it didn't have that obstacle of slowing the bike down all the time. So the rollover incidence is a lot lower, which also means you can ride over obstacles without slowing down, and you can also ride over obstacles easier because when you're riding a mountain bike, you can generally roll over something about a quarter of the size of the wheel without stopping. Once the obstacle goes over a quarter, then you've got to lift the front wheel or do something special, but it won't just naturally roll over the bump. You really need the bump to be smaller. If you're riding a bigger wheel, that bump can be bigger and it slows the bike down less. The other reason for a 29er that I see is that the bottom bracket in relation to the centre of the hub is lower. So when you go bigger in the wheel, the centre of the wheel goes higher as well, which gives the bike a pendulum effect. So when you're riding along and your bottom bracket in relation to the wheel is lower, the bike always wants to hang from the wheel centres, and it makes the bike feel more stable and makes it feel more grounded. Third tick is because the wheels are bigger, to get the same gearing, we need to change the ratios. So they've made the chain ring, which is the front crankset, smaller. The cog is smaller, which gives you a lot more log clearance and wears everything evenly. So now you've got smaller, stronger cogs with more clearance. So now you've got more crossover height over logs. We're going to talk about a few negatives, okay? Just to balance it up a little bit.
Brace yourself.
If you're riding along and you want to avoid something like go through some rocks to sort of like really control the bike in a little way, then the 29er takes a longer distance to respond because it has a bigger arc for its turning. So you would probably find if you want a real twitchy little bike to do trials on or something like that, then the 29er is probably not going to be as easy to handle. And the wheels are bigger, more rubber, more weight. Generally, unless you're going for carbon rims and tubeless tyres, it can be a little bit more weight, which means if you want to kind of really get up that little step or that little bump, it's a bit more of a bike to handle. And if you wanted to ride maybe downhill with a lot more suspension and stronger wheels, then the original or smaller wheels are obviously better. The wheels are stronger and you can allow for a lot more suspension in the frame. So that's another plus for a small wheel. Anyway, so what they did was they weren't selling 29ers and 26 was considered finished. So the bike industry had this great idea of introducing something somewhere in between, and that was a 27.5. So let's get a 26 out.
Here's the original.
And there's a 27.5. And there's a 29. To make things a little more confusing, Fat Boy. Now this is a 26-inch wheel, the original rim size, but it's got a 4-inch bag on it. And that means the wheel, when it's finished, is about the same size as a 29er. And that's for riding in sand and snow and all sorts of stuff. That is great, but you get control still. You go into a corner and the tyre doesn't distort right and doesn't bend right. So you've got to sort of turn the bike while it's upright and lean inwards and sort of control the bike differently. And a lot of these bikes are a little bit heavier, and the big bag makes the bike feel really soft on rocks and bits and pieces, and the tyre conforms and gets over everything.
Right.
However,
wait for it.
There's a bit of give in the tyre, but it doesn't replace suspension.
What else have we got here?
Well, what they've introduced in between is, here's one, and this is the 650 plus, right? So this is a 27.5-inch rim. But just let me give you the tip here. Outside diameter, still the same. We're all going to agree that 29 outside diameter is ideal. But the idea of this is the tyre doesn't conform enough. You've got to nurse the bike over bumps, the rims are weaker. So this is really good for faster cross-country over and in and out of bumps, where this, the tests show that this is faster than a 29er because the bike doesn't want to slow down on the bumps. The tyre conforms and goes over them. However, I reckon more rubber, bigger tyre, beginners love it because it's just got so much grip and so much of a footprint on the ground. It
Very
feels
forgiving.
Really, yeah. But if you're going to go up to the Simpson Desert or go for a really, really long bike ride somewhere, this is a great option because you don't have the problems with control that you do with the Fat Boy. Just to make things a little bit more confusing, they've done the same thing, but they've introduced a slight, almost the same tyre. I think it's a 2.6. So in 27.5, you can get 2.2, 2.6 or 3-inch bag sizes. So we've got 26 finished, 26 Fat Boy with a 4-inch tyre, great for snow, great for sand. Then we have the 27.5 range, and they run 3 different wheels. You go either, they're all 27.5, but they run 2 point something, like 2.1 or whatever is the narrow one. Then you go to 2.6, which is a semi-fat tyre. Then the 3-inch, which is called 650B, 650 plus, and that's fabulous. And because the bag's so big, it's the same outside diameter as a 29. And then you have 29, that's it. I hope that clears it up. I hope we've covered it.
Absolutely, I think that's really good. Obviously, there's other subjects we could cover is tubes versus tubeless in the same sort of tyres, but that's maybe
we'll do that on the tyre
discussion for another day.
But the best thing to do is come down to the shop and test them. We've got them all here to test. You can take them out and take them for a weekend and ride everything, and then make your own choices about what you would like to ride.
Nothing like riding it yourself, is there?
Try before you buy. Can't complain about that.
Absolutely.
Thanks for watching, and I hope that cleared up tyre sizes.